Is going to be critical today. You've got TCNS clothing, the IPO opens, and Daga, the MD, joins us in the show. Anant, could you start by introducing your company to the viewers, some of the key milestones, the brands that you've incubated since inception?
First of all, let me tell you that TCNS Clothing Company has closed its anchor book for the IPO yesterday, and we have raised 337 crores. We are happy to share that some of the biggest marquee names of investing world have moved ahead with our anchor book. People like Fidelity Management and Research, Goldman Sachs, GMO, Chris Capital, Axis Mutual Fund, Birla Mutual Fund, ICICI Pru, White Oak, and the likes of the same. So we are very excited for the next 3 days. Talking about our company, well, TCNS Clothing Company is a fashion platform with 3 very strong brands, W, Aurelia, Wishful. We operate in space of Indian ethnic wear for women. If you look at the company, it's one of the few professionally run organizations today in our kind of segment with deep shareholding by employees. As a company, we have a proven product and retail model across geographies, across channels, which makes us one of the very few national level players in this particular business. One of the key strengths that we have is the art of balancing creativity and commerce, which is having an institutional design process backed by a strong supply chain. As a company, we are multi-channel, multi-brand business with a strong focus on product. So we are much more product-centric and channel agnostic. We have an extremely capital efficient model with high return metrics of almost 40% when it comes to ROCE.
Okay, but your IPO is a complete offer for sale. So how will the company expand in future? I mean, wouldn't you need fresh capital for growth?
So if you look at our company today, TCNS Clothing is a debt-free organization. We have not raised primary capital for last few years. We have an extremely capital efficient model which throws ROCEs in the range of almost 40%. We have a capex model for our stores which gets paid off in less than 12 months on an average. We have not invested in any manufacturing facilities or real estate, and hence whatever internal accruals we have been able to generate has been more than sufficient to fund growth. That's how we have been funding our growth in the past, and we believe we can do the same thing in the future too.
How did you arrive at this valuation? Do you think it's a fair range given that some of your peers are going cheaper, and going ahead, do you believe that you will be able to back the high valuations with high return ratios?
See, the pricing and valuations have been arrived at in conjunction with our BRLMs who have interacted with multiple foreign and domestic institutional investors. And if you just look at the anchor book that we have been able to build, they carry some of the most well informed and savvy investors across the globe, which is a huge ratification to what we have priced and arrived at.
In the last 5 years, TCNS has been able to post robust financial performance, with revenues growing at about 46% CAGR. FY18 was also quite robust. Do you see scope of similar run rate to continue in the medium term?
So without getting into numbers specifically for future, let me just give you a perspective of how the market is structured today. If you look at Indian ethnic wear, it's a $6.5 billion market for women. Now, only 1.5 billion of that is branded today. There's 2 major shifts which are happening in the industry. One, there's a movement from sari wearing customer to salwar kameez dupatta. Second, from unbranded to branded space. We believe that this market is slated to grow at a very high rate for times to come. Now, if you look at the kind of players who exist in the market, well, there's no foreign player who exists. To understand the ethnic taste of Indian women, to crack a much more complex product and supply chain is not very easy. If you look at players who are there nationally present with a proven retail and product model, again you would find very few players. You can count them on your fingertips. The rest of the players are either constrained by channel or geographies. So if you look at a huge market opportunity, big addressable opportunity, and if you look at the kind of players who exist, I think companies like TCNS Clothing stands a great chance to ride on this growth wave. Talking about specific strengths of a company which makes us believe that we can ride this growth wave. Number one, we are a multi-brand company. We have 3 brands, W, Aurelia, Wishful, at different price point, which gives us much better market coverage than any of the other players. Number 2, we have a proven product model across channels, across geographies, and I think we are the most widely distributed women's wear branded company. Apart from that, we have an execution track record, we have a very stable and committed team, and we have a strong institutionalized design process and robust supply chain, which is a must for any business to scale in this field.
Right, Anant, your business model has been to remain asset light. What role has it played in terms of your costs, asset turnover ratios and overall financial performance over the years?
So I think if you look at our growth trajectory, the number one thing that it has done, it has made the business model self-sustainable. We have been able to grow our business with just internal accruals. In fact, despite such aggressive growth, we have also been able to become a debt-free organization, which is not very common. Otherwise, if you look at it, though we don't own assets across, but we very tightly control all the processes, even on the manufacturing side, though we don't own the factories and we don't employ the tailors, but if you look at the control process, starting from design to tech packs to quality control, even raw material purchases, I think we do all these things. So while we have been able to keep our model asset light and capital efficient, we have also been able to have complete control on processes both on front end and back end. Overall, I think what this has made is, it's made us a model which is capital efficient, which is high on profitability and return matrices, and a self-sustainable engine.
Anant, we wish you the very best with your IPO. Thanks very much for joining us and giving us more details about